Welcome to Chanel's reality, Chanel, and this is my reality.
Hey everybody, welcome to my show. I'm Chanel. This is Chanel's reality, and I wanted to come on here today and talk to you guys a little bit. Hang on 1 second. Make sure my audio is good. And y'all can hear me, hopefully. Let me see. Let me play it again.
Welcome to Chanel's reality, Chanel, and this is my reality.
Hi everybody, Chanel here. I'm Chanel. This is my reality. What did I do with my glasses? Oh, my glasses. You know, I'm getting old. I'm almost 50. There's that. Look, let me put on my glasses. Hopefully I can see, I don't know. Let's see. Yay. See, what? I don't know. I don't know how to do this. What is happening with my hair? It's weird. It's like it's turned and I don't know how to fix it. Okay, there we go. Okay. And then this side is down. Sorry. Welcome to Chanel's reality. I'm Chanel, and this is my reality. So today's topic is it's different. We're going to be talking about something called, they say it in the medical field. Oh, I'm supposed to have my little light on. Oh, okay. Hold on. Look, let me put my light on. Hold, please. I just want to turn off the camera. Sorry, guys. I thought I was prepared, but clearly not yet. I'm almost there. She's almost there. Oh, please. Hey, Carmen. Hey, boo, hey. Let me see. Look, hold on. I'm crazy. Look, I'm trying to turn on my mood light. Hold on. My husband got me mood light. So I'm trying to, I got to fix up my studio. Should I have a pink light? Look, let's see. Maybe I should turn the lights off. Let's see. Ooh. Or should I turn them on and have them down a little? Yeah. I don't know. How do I look? I probably look a little crazy. Maybe I'll change the light. I can't figure out my damn hair. Something is going on with my hair. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Okay. Hair is in my face. Sorry. Hey, Dr. Shay. Let me add my people to the stage. Hey, Carmen. Hey, Dr. Shay. Love her.com. Oh, can y'all hear me? Let me know if y'all can hear me or not, because sometimes
y'all
can hear me. Okay, so listen. I'm trying to figure things out. My husband bought me a little light so I could have a mood light, and I don't know how to do it. We just figuring it out. Okay. Anyways, Welcome to Chanel's Reality. Thank you so much, guys, for participating in this very, I would say, important uh live. Hold on. Here's Oh, Ivy's here. Hey, Ivy. I'm gonna add you to the stage. Hey,
Hey,
I love y'all. Look, I have on my team Sheila shirt. I wore it just for you.
I love it. I love it.
Thank you so
Like
much.
Miss Sheila?
Yes.
Oh, Miss
Yes.
Sheila.
I love her. Listen, she could do no wrong in my eyes ever.
She was perfect.
Perfect.
Period.
Perfection. Perfection.
She was
Absolutely.
perfect.
She was. She
Y'all,
was.
it means a lot.
We love you. We love her. We love Chuck. She used to tell me about Ivy and Chuck. Meanwhile, she's telling me I need some flaxseed oil and eat
Oh,
some
she
wild.
knows Miss Sheila?
That's her daughter, Ivy.
Oh,
I'm not playing with her. Don't you
hey,
worry.
how you doing?
Good at yourself. I'm just trying to figure out how to turn the camera on.
It's on. We looking. Oh, you want to turn it off? Okay. So that's
Well, I
Carmen.
guess I don't know
Maurice.
how to turn it towards me, I guess I should say.
Oh, there's probably a little round circle somewhere that you have to probably push, but it looks like it's turned towards you because we can see you.
Oh, okay. I
Can
just
you
can't.
not see us? Oh, you got it. Okay.
Thank you.
So, okay. So thank you so much, guys, for joining me today on this very important topic. Um, so I, over the past few years, I've had some health issues and not a lot of answers. And so most recently, well, not the most recently, but at the end or the middle of last year, no, actually about July of last year, I was diagnosed with lupus, which is an autoimmune disease, and it really impacts your health big time. Specifically with my type of lupus, it messes with like my muscles. So I feel like exhausted, like completely exhausted. And the reason that one is so important is because your biggest and well, your most important organ or muscle is your heart. Nobody can live without that. So I have to often make sure that even though I'm putting on a smile every day and people think I'm great, because I look fine to them, that I'm making sure I'm taking care of myself. But I was on probably like a 3 or 4 year journey trying to get probably to the lupus diagnosis, and they just had me have all kinds of other surgeries, saying, oh, it must be this, it's probably that, kind of thing, trying to make your symptoms fit their diagnosis. Right. And then about, I would say, April, I started noticing like in my throat, I was feeling like I couldn't like swallow. But before we get started, Dr. Shay, I think I had asked you if you wouldn't mind just praying for us real quick over this little live. And then we could get started if you don't mind. Dr. Shay is a whole doctor, okay? Black girl magic. So I just wanted her to come on here and pray for us real quick. And if she wants to add anything to it, then she can. Unless she stepped away. I don't know. Dr. Shay, are you there? Okay, she may have stepped away. But at any rate, I, was in this system, which is the healthcare system, trying to, find answers. I finally got to a rheumatologist who basically was like, she died. She's the one that did the right test and, diagnosed me with the lupus. But around, I would say June, well, no, maybe around April, I started feeling like I had like something stuck in my throat. Like if you eat something and it feels like it's something there. And because I have hypothyroidism, which is another autoimmune disease, I was like, all the signs are make sure that you don't have any nodules or whatever in your throat, because then you could have, that could be cancerous and things like that. So honestly, I had two what I felt like really innocuous symptoms, which was heartburn. I started to notice because I was taking the like chewable Tums like 5-6 times a day. And I went to my gastro doctor and he was like, I need you to go do an endoscopy, which I've done before because I had stomach issues for years, right? And then I thought they were calling me to tell me about my endoscopy, but they didn't. They called me and they were like, hey, just want to let you know we did this scan, which is, I forget what it's called. What is it called, Carmen? It's not only a scan. What is it? Ivy, you probably ultrasound. They did an ultrasound of my liver, which I don't even know they was doing. I just went, and did whatever. And the results were you have cirrhosis of the liver, but it's like the earliest stage, and it's a different type of cirrhosis. It's not from alcohol usage or anything like that.
My
It's
God.
from
Can y'all hear me? My God. My God. My
yeah,
God. Can y'all
we
hear
can
me?
hear you. We can hear you.
Okay.
Can you
I didn't
hear
want to just
us?
come. I didn't want to just cut you off and be like, "Hey,"
I
but so, so hello everybody and good evening. I apologize, sister, for cutting you off, but
no
I'm actually on
worries.
my AirPods and I had to go in and allow it to turn my mic on for my AirPods rather than for my mic actually on my phone. So
Gotcha.
I apologize that you ladies cannot see me. I'm actually in workout clothing and I am making a money bouquet that is due tonight. So
Oh,
let me go ahead. I do not want to go ahead. I don't want to delay the evening or the hour, but I do want to go ahead and lead us in prayer. And sister, you can go ahead and proceed and give us your testimony, your test, because the testimony is definitely to come. We had that conversation yesterday. So we're just
mhm.
going to stay tuned for that and we're going to name it and we're going to claim it. But Lord God, we come to you this evening, God, first of all, to say thank you. Thank you for blessing us to see a day and an evening and a conversation and a gathering among sisterhood, as well as the brothers that may join in. Once again, God. God, we thank you for the opportunity to have a relationship with you. We thank you for the test. We thank you for the testimonies that there is to come. We ask that you would open our minds, our bodies, and our spirits, God, so that way that we can feel that this is a safe space and a safe place where we can actually encourage one another and put things out there and have transparency so that way that we can grow. We ask that you would continue to stay in the midst of the conversations as well. So that way that if anybody says anything or is disagreement with, they will understand that we all have our own viewpoints and we're just putting it out in the atmosphere so that way that we can understand the individual perspectives as well, God. God, for we know everybody has a different walk in life and we thank you for those walks. But for your very reasons, for such a time as this, you have brought us together so that way that we can continue to navigate life's interruptions and assist one another along the journey in life. For we are a very imperfect people that's in serving and in an very imperfect world. But we know every day we are not sinless, but we strive daily to sin less, God. So we ask right now for those that may even join in on the call, God, for those that wanted to get on the call or for whatever they could not get on the call, bless them as well. We thank you, God. We bring unity, we bring grace, we bring dignity to the conversation. We ask that you would just open us up and bring those things back to our remembrance so that way that we can converse and that we will be able to look back on this time and say, we are so grateful that we had the opportunity to be able to come. We thank you once again for the relationship that we have with you. And we submit this prayer to you and we declare what has already been decreed. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so, so much. So like I was saying, I really just want to have this conversation because when the I guess it was a PA called me, like a physician's assistant called me to give me my diagnosis, I was on a journey. I've been on a journey is what I would call it with my health. And I was just like, listen, like I feel like I got hit in my chest with like a sledgehammer. But because I've been on this journey for so long and not having answers and things of that nature, I didn't even have any more tears. Honestly, I didn't have any more tears, but I also didn't think that they were going to tell me you have cirrhosis of the liver. It's in its early stages, so it's something that you could what is it called? You could reverse. So thank God for that. That is something that I could reverse. But essentially, cirrhosis, from what I've looked up and what my doctor told me, um, it's just the scarring of your liver, and you need your liver for many reasons. But without a liver, you can't live. Just like without your heart, you can't live. So you need it. It's a vital organ. And the reason that I bring up the innocuous symptoms is because it's for the grace of God that I went to talk to my gastro doctor really about my throat having heartburn, and just was thinking about something with my thyroid gland. Just wanted to make sure everything there is in order. There's nothing looking weird or out of line. And had I not had that heartburn and the I guess I would say it would feel like I couldn't swallow properly, I would have probably gone years not even realizing or recognizing that there was a problem with my liver, because I'm not a medical professional. And by the way, anyone that tunes into Chanel's reality, everything on here is for entertainment purposes only. It's all in our opinion. We don't know. We wasn't there. We don't know none of them people. Whoever we bring it up, it's all alleged. Okay. But and hit the like button, subscribe button, notification button. It's a free and easy way to support my channel. But at any rate, if I had not had the heartburn, if I had not had the little, oh, I can't really swallow properly, then it's very likely that I would have gone on for the next few years, not even knowing anything was wrong with my liver. But the one thing I will say that I did notice during my doctor's visits over the years, I would hear them say, oh, your liver enzymes are a little elevated, but nothing to where you need to go see a liver specialist, or you need to, get on a special diet, or you need to, anything like that. Nobody ever said to me. It was elevated. And so I'm just so grateful for the heartburn, even though I hate heartburn. I'm grateful for the heartburn. I'm grateful for the, whatever is going on in my throat to make me feel like I couldn't swallow properly. I'm grateful for, my gastro doctor, and when I got that news, like I was saying earlier, it just hit me like I feel like I get hit with a sledgehammer in the chest, because I'm just kind of like, for those people who know me, I walk around here talking about victims and victims' rights, and we should be, I'm over here trying to save the world. And I'm pissed that you got P. Diddy and Jay-Z and all of these other people out here doing all this, allegedly, we'll say that. Just doing the damn most, as far as I could, as far as I'm concerned. And I'm out here feeling like I'm doing God's work and not understanding why I keep seemingly getting sicker and sicker, on some level. But I'm grateful that I had those symptoms, because it brought me back to my gastro doctor. And hopefully it, will help me live a much better, healthier life and exercise and stuff like that. Because I know my husband, he thinks he's a doctor. He thinks they gave him like a honorary MD, in one of my surgeries. I'm just like, sir, you are not my doctor. But I did want to have a serious conversation around health. Ivy, you can chime in anytime you want to. Ivy is a nurse, and I think nurses are like our little heroes in the world. Medical heroes is what I would say. But Ivy has, you can share whatever you want. Everybody can share whatever they want, whatever they feel comfortable with. If you don't want to share, it's fine. But I just want to, to get some of you guys' experiences, whether it's you, a family member, a friend, anybody. You don't have to disclose anything you don't want to. And let me say first out of my mouth, if I haven't already said it, that we are not medical experts. And so if you watch this now or you watch it later with the replay crew, just be sure to speak to your own personal doctor, nurse, or health professional, because we are not doctors. So we just want to make sure we put that out there. But I invited Ivy because I loved her mom, love her brother. For so many years she worked with us, and she was just the most beautiful person that I could say that I ever met in my whole entire life, just inside and out, just beautiful human being. And so I'll just let Ivy go. If you're ready, Ivy, because I don't want to tell your story or whatever it is, but I just loved her mom so much. So you can go ahead and start if you want. Go ahead.
Okay, I just listening to your story just now made me think of course, my mother, and just the importance of women advocating for themselves and going to the doctor. Because with her, if it would have been caught sooner, she had called the hospital, let them know she was having certain issues, and they gave her the runaround. And then by the time she got back to the hospital, they were like, "Oops, too late, hospice." So Black women are definitely not given the proper attention that they should get. It when they do bring concerns, it's not necessarily taken seriously the first or second time. So it is just very good in general to be an advocate for your health. If you feel something is wrong and you go to your doctor, unless they're not taking you seriously, go to another one. You know your body. You know when there is something wrong. You know if something's not right, and just trust your gut. Now, me personally, I have endometriosis. So I have good days, I have bad days. It's a very painful condition. And a lot of times with certain illnesses, when you are in pain and you do go to the hospital, but you don't want to go to the hospital, that's sort of like your last resort when you go to the ER. They tend to treat you because you're younger. that, oh, they must be drug seeking or things of that nature. So it's just good to advocate for yourself. Um, and whenever you do feel something is wrong, go to your doctor. If they are not taking you seriously, go to another one. But just don't ignore anything that you feel that something may be wrong, because you just never know. And find you a doctor that's going to listen to your concerns and address all of your concerns and just treat you seriously.
I agree. I wanted to say that I so agree with listening to your body. And when you said about how you go to the emergency room because it's kind of like your last resort. I lived in, I feel like, the emergency room for the 3 years when I still don't have a diagnosis for whatever happened. But listen, whatever happened, I ain't in pain anymore, so I'll take it. And then with regard to the endometriosis, I also was diagnosed with that, and it's one of those. My understanding of it is that it's like cells that grow, or tissue that grows on outside of your other organs, and it kind of can take over your other organs. And at least my understanding was, it's like they can't really tell you 100% that's what it is, just based on your symptoms. It's almost like you need surgical intervention. But Ivy, you would probably know better than me regarding that. My biggest fear is that, like, it'll start growing on some other organ, because whenever I was having my last surgery, after the surgery, the doctor was like, we had to take out your appendix too, because it was septic and it was encased in endometriosis. And I just was kind of like, what, like, what do you mean? And it was another thing was, I kept saying when I would go, to the doctor or the ER, I'm like, maybe it's my appendix. And they kept saying, no, we don't think it's that. Anyways, my biggest fear is that it'll attach itself to my liver, to my kidneys, to my heart. I hope that doesn't happen. But the problem is with that one, it just seems like you don't really feel the symptoms until it's kind of taken over. And I don't know that to be 100% true, but that was my journey with that. And it is very painful. I've had that. It's very painful. And I think sometimes, I don't know if you got this, Ivy, did you get it to where it was like your stomach gets extended or anything like that?
Yes. A lot of times, even right now, my stomach is extremely bloated. So people will literally think that I'm pregnant. And a good way to kind of explain endometriosis, it's the lining of the uterus that you shed when you have your monthly cycle. That lining pretty much is growing out of your uterus, and it does attach to a lot of organs. And when you talked about your appendix, I was thinking, oh my goodness, because when I had my surgery, they took out my appendix too. So I'm guessing that must be something that's very common with and if the endometriosis has gotten that bad, it could probably be what, endometriosis stage 4. I don't know if they gave you a staging
I don't recall it.
but for it to have encased your appendix and they have to take it out, it was definitely all in your lower abdominal cavity.
Wow. Oh, and I don't know if I said this at the beginning of the live, and if you're joining later, if you're part of the replay crew, we're talking tonight about silent killers, things that could be going on with your body health-wise that you may not necessarily have the symptoms sometimes until it's too late. And I started with me and the cirrhosis of the liver. I had no idea that anything was happening with my liver other than them, like I said, in like blood test or urine test or something saying it's elevated. And what I was saying at the beginning, for those that might come into the show now, is that I could have, and most likely would have, gone on for another year or two or whatever it is, not realizing that I'm having scarring on my liver, which eventually, if it goes unchecked for too long and untreated, will have you needing a liver transplant. That's like the last stage, I think. But I just wanted to talk about, because I was talking about, my issue was the cirrhosis and some other abdominal, issues like endometriosis and what can happen with that. I don't think endometriosis is part of like a silent killer, but there's also hypertension is another one that my understanding is, you can have high blood pressure and not know anything is wrong. Actually, probably feel great, when your blood pressure is high. Same thing with diabetes. You normal is high for the person that has type 2 diabetes, I believe. And then when you get the right medicine, if you can control it, then normal eventually comes. But it normal usually feels out of whack. It makes you feel like you might be dying or something. Your blood sugar is dropping really, really low. Um, and then I think there was another one. The third one I think I had on there was some types of cancer. You don't necessarily. Hey, Mr. Arias video, welcome. You don't necessarily know. A lot of people know about breast cancer, and people will. They have more. I feel like it's one of those cancers that everybody kind of cheers on, and it's the fight. But I think it probably has the most funding, if I'm being honest about it. And there was one other thing that I wanted to share. So I talked to one of my cousins this morning, and her mom was diagnosed with cancer, I believe a year and a half ago or so. And she finally, had her last treatment. And then she, I think a few months ago, got her reconstructive surgery. But I wanted to share her story a little bit because her mom passed from the same exact thing when she was like 19, like just getting ready to go to college. And so then she ends up with it. But the way it came about was she would go and get how we all do, go get the mammogram, especially if you have it in your family or your family history or whatever. Her mom went and got the scan or the mammogram, and the mammogram came back perfectly fine. She went back to the doctor for some reason, and they told her there was some sort of vein in her neck. And I don't know what happened with the vein in her neck, but something with the vein in her neck, they tested it, and then they found the cancer cells. And so that's how she was able to catch it. But if that doctor or whomever saw her had not noticed whatever it was with her neck and that vein or whatever, from what she told me, she probably they wouldn't have been able to catch it in time, because she likely wouldn't have gone to the doctor for another year to get a mammogram if they're telling you it's fine. You know what I mean? So I wanted to share that because when I called her today to ask her to be a part of this, I was only able to get in touch with her daughter, who's going through her own medical situation. And she told me that her mom's been kind of sleeping all day, which I'm a hospice social worker. So all of my patients are actively dying, or most of them are actively dying. And sleeping a lot is one of those symptoms of, something might be wrong, more than whatever, just a normal run of the mill cold or anything like that. Because she's saying she's sleeping like 12 to 14 hours a day. So I'll give you guys an update if I get one, but they're just not in the best mood this week. So she's probably not going to come. But I just wanted to put that out there. Welcome, Mr. Arias video. Welcome to the panel. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing all right. Thank you for having me.
So we have Ivy, Miss Sheila's daughter is on here, and then we have Dr. Shay. She's a whole doctor with me at work, and then we have Carmen, obviously, and then me. Did you want to talk a little bit about hypertension?
Sure. I can share a little bit of my story and my history. I was diagnosed with hypertension, oh, I guess about 10 years ago, along with some other diabetes. Was diagnosed with that as well. And I know for myself, with hypertension, it is known, especially in Black people, the silent killer. And, there were no symptoms for me, nothing I could aptly feel as something was wrong with me. But, going in, getting my blood pressure checked regularly, checking my blood pressure and seeing that it was normally high, I had to ultimately accept the truth. And so eventually I started, taking medication to kind of help. And, even with the medications to help, there's always side effects. I have to deal with side effect. Usually one of the most common things, if I stand up too quickly, I feel a little bit of dizziness. But fortunately for me, I've been able to, through diet and exercise, significantly, reduce my weight. that has certainly helped with a lot of my physical ailments. I'm no longer have to take any type of medication for diabetes. I still take some medication for hypertension, and that runs in my family. My grandmother passed away from complications with diabetes and hypertension, and so many other members of my family struggle and deal with that. So fortunately for me, again, primarily with diet and exercise, reducing my weight, I do still have to take some medication because I think it's just genetic at this stage, uh, running in my family. But fortunately, I've been able to decrease my dosage, and I don't deal with the side effects as heavily as I have before in the past.
Thank you so much, Mr. Arias video. Anybody else wanna share your experience of any type of silent killer? Or even your experience at all with any type of illness? No? Okay.
I have a uterine fibroid that I will be getting removed Tuesday. Um, I first knew it was there the end of 2023.
Mhm.
I don't remember what size it was, but I kind of like overlooked it after, me having cysts from my knowledge. Since I was 17, I would get ovarian cysts. They would rupture and come back, rupture and come back. So, with that being said, whenever they told me I had the fibroid, I kind of like blew it off. I didn't take it too serious. I just was like, um, there might be a way, maybe it can be treated, or whatever I was told. I didn't take it serious, and I should have. I regret it because it definitely was not big like this, because at that time I had absolutely no stomach, um whereas now it's 24 centimeters in my stomach, and and it's muscle tissue.
Mhm.
And I still have like horrible pains. Like it feels like I'm always having a rupture, a cyst rupture, but it's not a cyst, it's a fibroid. So where it pushes up against like other organs.
Mhm.
It causes like constipation because it's so big at times, frequent urinations, um, just almost never comfortable unless I'm sleep unconscious, like just cold knocked out. And then the moment I wake up, I feel the uncomfortable. But the only thing I have just looked into it was, the process of taking it out, because I do have to get cut because it's so big. She told me the big incision would be like somewhere under my breast area, and then to below my navel. So yeah. And this is my first surgery ever in my life. So even when they called me this morning and they were questioning me about it, she asked me like 3 times, to the point I got frustrated. I'm like, excuse me, I'm sorry, but are you having a hard time understanding me? Yes, this is my first surgery. I've never had any other surgery.
Hmm.
But even my doctor was like, whoa, this is a big surgery, an intense surgery for it to be your first surgery. So, I don't know. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't have they tested me for like, everything else, diabetes and all that other stuff. And diabetes actually do run in my mom's family. But
Mm.
with me gaining so much weight within like these few months,
Mhm.
surprised I didn't pick up like, diabetes or high blood pressure, because I am frustrated a lot. It does cause a lot of stress. And I know stressing is not good for any health situation, and it can cause other health situations. I'm just
Mhm.
to get it over with. But there's my input.
So, and I don't know if they told you this, or because I can't remember. I think, I don't know if there's a difference between endometriosis and fibroids, because I had endometriosis, but I don't think I don't, I feel like they told me at some point I had a fibroid. I remember going to Hawaii with my husband, and I was in so much dire pain one morning there, and went to the ER, and they did some sort of scan, and then when I got back to the continental US, they were like, oh, it was a ruptured, I feel like they said ruptured
Assist.
or rupture cysts. So
Yeah.
is there, Ivy, do you know if the difference or anything like that? Would you be able to share?
Well, from my understanding, is that you can have endometriosis, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you will have fibroids. But you
Mhm.
very well can. Now, it is common for those that have endometriosis to have the cyst in it, and like you were saying about how the cyst ruptured, that is very painful because then the body has to reabsorb that fluid, and there's like nothing that they will do unless it's over. I believe they told me if it's over 5 centimeters, then they can opt to go in there and remove the cyst. But if it's not, then they're just going to leave the cyst alone. Whereas fibroids, somebody could have fibroids and not be diagnosed with endometriosis. So you could have both, or you could have either, or of course, none at all. And I guess one of the issues is just like Carmen was saying, how they kept on questioning her when they were asking her the questions.
Ivy, I don't know if you hit the mute button. It doesn't look like it, but we can't hear you. If you maybe moved somewhere in your house, not really sure.
Yeah, that was a thing too to add.
That's
Like
what I told
at
you.
one point they wanted to do an operation to remove my cyst, and I'm just like, and I never would opt to have it. I remember being in the hospital in Herman Memorial,
Mm-hmm.
and they kept me for 6 days. And when I tell you, I made it home and had to do a turnaround and go right back. And he was the doctor in the ER at that moment because I was like, I just left here like 3 hours ago. And he was like, we can remove it. Like, we can remove it. Like, he was ready to just remove it. And I was like, no, no, can you just give me some medicine, please? Because they keep coming back. Like, I have ruptures. So to me, a rupture was, in my mind, a rupture was equivalent to it being gone and me having another one. So no, I don't want to expose the inside of my body to any air. I don't want anything going inside of me to pull anything out for it to
Mm-hmm.
just come right back. Because surgery has always been scary for me because it's like every time I've observed someone having an operation, it only leads to another operation and another operation and another operation. And that's what I pray so hard about. Like, oh, I hope this is like the surgery I would have and not have to have any other surgery ever again. Like, you understand what I'm saying?
I do.
So,
I do. I do understand. I don't necessarily have that fear. Lots of people do have that fear, especially if they are parents. It's like it's a natural thing to wonder what could happen if you're put under. But I've never had any problems. I just always had a good night's sleep, the best sleep ever. I can just tell you that that's going to happen. But surgery is very serious, is not to be taken lightly. So we'll definitely be there for you, and making sure you're good to go. And I believe everything is happens for a reason. I always say, God bless the broken road. That's like one of my favorite songs ever. And I heard a white man singing it with a guitar at a wedding. It's the first time I ever heard the song, but it's actually sang by some famous people that I can't remember. Steve, do you know who sings that song? Or maybe it's been remade. I don't know.
Rascal
Rascal
Flats.
Flats.
Rascal
Who? That's
Flats.
so flat.
Rascal Flats.
yeah, yeah. So I love them, and I love that song because honestly, we were at my job yesterday. We were having a meeting, and our director, she went around the table and she was asking us how we all ended up in hospice. Which is basically there's no more medical intervention that could save your life. You're terminal at that point. And so everybody went around the table, saying how they ended up in hospice, and it's just interesting. I do feel like that God bless the broken road, because I remember the years ago there was this company called Child Advocates, and I wanted to work for them, and I had 2 interviews with them over the years, and each time your whole family will gas you up and be like, God got it. Did you didn't talk to the director and you interviewed with the other director? You got it, got it. And that happened to me twice. The second time they didn't pick me, it was me and someone else. I listen, I was under the bed crying. Not really, but I was. I went into the ugly cry. I was so angry because it was like my perfect job. I was perfect for the job. But this is why I say God bless the broken road. It's because I got out of that bed eventually. And because I didn't take that, because they didn't offer me that role, I went to other roles, right, throughout the years and got more experience. And then because I wanted to change my life and the work that I was doing, because when you work for child age, any type of bureaucratic agency, it's just a whole bunch of work. It's a whole bunch of work and not a lot of me time or you time or family time. But eventually I went back to school and got a second master's degree because I was like, what, I want to be a therapist. I want to be able to allow people to just tell me their issues, and get paid well for it. Cause you got to have a little balance in life, since my name is Chanel. I'm just saying, I love Chanel. But all jokes aside, had those people given me that role, I wouldn't have gone back. It's very likely I wouldn't have gone back to get my second master's, and I wouldn't be a licensed therapist at this point, and probably wouldn't be working in hospice, which is some of the it's I don't even know how to explain it. It's one of the weirdest things ever, but every day that I walk into the building, every day that I walk into someone's home, every day that I walk into a facility, it reminds me of how fragile life is, you know? And it also reminds me that death isn't the worst thing. Sitting here, like I have one patient who, she's always like, when I met her, she's like, I'm just sitting here waiting to die. They told me I was supposed to be gone 4 months ago and I'm still here. Like, she angry about still being here. But I understand it. I get it. Listen, I understand it. So that's why I say every death isn't always the easy, quote unquote, easy way out. Somebody's in the back chat. Let me see. Oh, your power went out and came back on. Okay. But at any rate, anybody have any other, you know, things that they want to share about, how they found out what was going on and where they are? I think everybody pretty much said it, but I just want to encourage everybody because my husband encouraged me. I wasn't okay with finding that out because I've been mad at God. I don't know if y'all ever been mad at God, but I was mad. I was just, listen. You got PDD running around Earth being a whole savage, him and everybody. Like, I can't. We got a crazy man in that White House. We got tariffs. Now I can't afford Sheen anymore, or Shein, or however it's called. I used to get 300 items for $2.15, and now they done gone up. And I'm just like, what is happening? But like, all jokes aside, I just felt like I've already been on this health journey, and I seemingly got cured, so I'm good. And then the lupus diagnosis, and then I'm like, here we go. And then now this one, and it kind of sometimes, for me at least, feels unfair. I'm just like, can we spread it out a little bit, not just happen all to me? And that, I feel like, is why my husband, came and encouraged me. He was like, you have this platform, and maybe you can go on this journey, and you can take the subscribers that you have with you on the journey, and maybe you'll be able to inspire someone or educate them about your journey. And whenever he told me that, I was not receptive to it. I was like, I don't want to be, listen, I'm not interested in staying here. That was my response. I'm not interested in prolonging my life. I don't want to, because again, like I said before, it's like, who wants to have a life and you're sick all the time? You know what I mean? But it's a real thing that happens to people. And a lot of times people keep it all to themselves, whatever they're going through. Most of us, I would say, do keep it to ourselves. People ask you how you're doing. What do you say? I'm good. I'm fine. Dying inside, but outside, you're looking fearless. That happens a lot. And so I won't keep you guys. I thank you so much for coming on here and sharing your.
Chanel.
Oh, go ahead.
I didn't know when to jump in. I'm sorry.
Oh, please, Dr. Shay.
I do want to go ahead and say that I can relate to everybody that has spoken. I've had endometriosis. I've had multiple fibroids removed. I've
Oh,
had my uterus removed because of the endometriosis
mm,
and the uterine fibroids. I currently still have hypertension. And they told me it was genetic. They were like, it's just part of your genes. So you
wow.
have two choices. You can either fight this naturally with an additional prescriptive enhancement,
Hmm.
or take the chance on thickening the lining of your heart, because, of course, it's going to make your heart have to pump harder. and it's going to grow and build, and the lining of your heart is going to get thicker, and eventually it will lead to you having a bad heart or heart failure or congestive heart failure, et cetera, et cetera.
Wow.
So, um, for those that have actually spoken, and I'm hoping that Miss Ivy will actually be able to go back and listen in as well. And so, really, thank you for her as well. We're getting speaking from a clinical standpoint, but I also wanted to say to Lady Carmen that I know with us not wanting to have surgeries, and we've never had surgeries before and things like that, it's really hard whenever we don't know. I definitely, my prayer for you is that you will be able to join a support group or get with other people that have gone and navigated the same thing. And you can do that whether it's on social media, because they are out there. I can connect with you and get you connected as well. I have been there. The first time that I discovered that I had endometriosis, I was probably like, oh gosh, probably like about 18, 19 years old, and I couldn't understand what was going on. My monthly menstruals were extremely heavy and extremely painful, to the point to where in 2021, in 21, I had gotten to where, well, probably actually, probably before then, my staff knew if she's in her office with her light off, with the lamp on, just with the shade slightly open, where she can see into the courtyard of the office, she has a
Mm-hmm.
headache, she's in pain, just kind of let her be. And mind you, I work with all of these nurses. I've been in hospice 23 years. I know better. But that was just something that I just did not want to do, because I don't have biological children. I did not want to take away the chance or the opportunity of God doing whatever He had to do in order for me to have a child. So, whenever it came down to me having an irregular PAP, and I had it, and then it came back and they said, we see some abnormal cells and there's a possibility. However, the only way they could go in to see was once they got in, after they went in to do some removals and things like that, to kind of do exploratory surgery is what they had to do. Mind you, my doctor, Dr. Dola Patolia in the Houston Medical Center, is absolutely amazing. And I really like as well, because she's a little petite lady and she's got small hands. So she got small hands. And so I told her, I said, look, I trust you with my life. Literally, I've been in Houston now for 29 years. And I told her, when you go in, I trust you to do what it is you feel that you need to do. If that means removing my uterus, if that means removing any other reproductive organs or anything in order to save my life, do that. She went in, and what she seen was actually much more severe than what we thought it was, because the fibroids, I think it was 9 of them, they were literally taking over my organs, in addition to the endometriosis, which is actually scar tissue. And they was riding my uterus and my bladder backwards. So it was causing severe pain in my back. I went to church one Sunday, December 1st, I think it was of 20. No, it was 21, December of 21. That was, I was like, it was enough. I got out of my truck to walk in my house. I in church the whole time, had heels on, and whenever I got home, which is felt like a 30-minute drive, I went to step out of my truck and couldn't walk. Terrified. Called my husband, was like, okay, he's a truck driver, he's on the road, and then he's like, so what's gonna happen? And I'm going, I don't know, like something is bad wrong. So I started praying, and I already had gotten out of my heels. I had flip flops on. And so whenever I got in the house, I said, you know what, God, enough is enough. I'm over it. I am so over it. I'm done. I'm over it. And my mom was like, Shauna, you can't keep doing this to yourself. My team, my staff was doing the same thing. They said, have the surgery, so that way that you can start living your life. Because I got to the point where I didn't wear white. I was really uncomfortable. I was always in pain. Was becoming a hermit, literally holding myself hostage in my own home and in my own space. And so I really encourage you to check into it. And whenever we're faced with different things in life, know that if God brings you to it, He will see you through it. We're all given different challenges in life. But know that whenever you're given that, that is a part of your your journey, and some things are necessary for the process in order for you to get through it and to overcome. I think the thing that we have to always remember, and this is just me speaking from my point of view, y'all can agree or not, and or not. Whenever we go through things, We go through it not just for ourselves, but we go through it for somebody else. There are people that are going to come back and listen to this replay, and they're going to be like, you know what, you sure right. And then whenever we're going through, Chanel and I talked about this yesterday. Sometimes you're not out of the test before you share your story with somebody else and encourage them. Sometimes you find yourself, welcome back, Lady Ivy. Sometimes you find yourself still in it. And
Mhm.
the person shows up and you're like, okay, like God, you really have a sense of humor here. You have a sense of
Right,
humor because now I'm supposed to encourage somebody else and I'm going through this myself.
right.
And so when you go through things, just be reminded that it's not just for you. Share it. And there's always a lesson to be learned in every test. If we get nothing else, it's not about how many times we fall down, how many times we back up, how many times we scuff our knees, how many times we stomp our toe. It's not about that. What is the lesson learned? Turn a night light on, and then that way we won't hit the end of the bed, at night on the way to the restroom. Like we learn different things along the way. So I gone through that, the fibroids. Whenever I tell you having my uterus removed, I have everything else. I just don't have my uterus. So if I conceive, I can't carry it. So I'll be hollering
Mhm.
at somebody else. But my cousin and I actually have this pact. We've had a pact for many years that if I conceive, she'll be my surrogate. And we're very, very close and have been since the crib. And she and her pregnancies are always great, like
Yeah.
wonderful. So I have gone through that. I've navigated that. I am in a great place because I don't have biological children. I was blessed with bonus children through my marriage, and who one actually happens to be a hospice nurse. She and I are 9 years apart. That's in the Dallas Metroplex. And then my son, my bonus son, he actually passed due to COVID and renal failure, a combination of those. But I made it good with myself to say, you know what, not everybody is meant to be a mother by birth, because there are many people that birth children every day and they don't mother their children. They don't father or parent their children. So for
Mhm.
me, I said, my walk is different. And I think with me being in, well, I know with being in hospice for these many years, it has actually allowed me to see things differently. I see people, no judgment, because I see everybody has a story, and even whether they are a murderer or whatever it is, that came from somewhere, whether it was a spiritual transfer or something happened to them in life, it came from somewhere. It stemmed. Not to say that we're justifying it, not to say that it's wrong, but I'm one of those people that likes to get to the core of the issue, because if we don't discuss the core of the issue or the concern, then we usually become repeat offenders, regardless to whatever it is in life, whether it's overeating and things like that. But all of us that have spoken about different things that we are doing, we know that pharmaceutical sales are the number one money maker in the world. So
Mhm.
in my research, and all of that, I encourage all of us to find holistic ways and find holistic doctors and go to those farms where they're growing it and you can see what it is that they're doing, to go to those markets so that way that we can learn to prepare our own food. Not to say that it has to be that way all the time, and we can splurge and step out from time to time, but I think we need to make sure that we need to be more responsible and take charge of our health. And I discovered that I had H. pylori. I think it was in January, February, or something. I'm not sure exactly what that was. And so, with having H. pylori, and I'm sorry, Lady Ivy, you can jump in at any time and help me with this. But with having H. pylori is actually inflammation or an infection, basically, of your digestive tract.
Mm.
And so, I didn't realize that in my research it says most people actually have H. pylori and they don't know that they have it, because some people are more sensitive to it than others. Mine was discovered whenever I went to get my teeth cleaned, and I had like sensitivity in the veins in my next to my gums, and it was really sore. So I had some tests and things done. Discovered that I am allergic to chicken. I'm allergic
Wow.
to beef,
Wow. That's
baker's
crazy.
yeast, pecans, and some other stuff. At that point, I was like, I ain't even worried about it. I don't want to know nothing else. I don't want to know nothing else. I'm good. So I had to take
No
myself off of
negativity.
that stuff. Hmm.
Mm. I said no negativity. Yeah,
All
don't ruin
right.
my day.
Yeah. But
Mm.
I had exactly. I was like, oh gosh, I'm like, how does this work? Am I allergic to the cow or the milk or the cheese or the dairy products? Am I allergic to the egg or the chicken? Like, how am I allergic to the skin or is the actual, meat? Like, what's going
Yes,
on here?
I
Totally
love
what's going on here. So I had to take myself off of eating those things for about 2 to 3 weeks. It's been about 2 or 3 weeks since I had that. Last Friday I had chicken on a salad at Gringo's. I love the Cosmeal salad at Gringo's. And so it has like a little bit of chicken in it. And I wanted to see, okay, what's going to happen now? Because it didn't have skin, it's just the meat.
it.
I didn't
Hmm.
notice anything. And then, now mind you, it's not like I'm going into anaphylactic shock or anything like that. I don't know what kind of reaction. And maybe it makes me sneeze. Maybe it makes my hair fall out. I don't know what this is. And so I did that. So now I see how that is doing for like, the course of 2 weeks of now just doing chicken and then seeing if there's a reaction and then lay off of it and then try some beef. So right
Mm.
now I am still in the a little bit of chicken, Chanel yesterday, salatas. I had some chicken on my salad, right? So that way that I can try to kind of get a feel or whatever. But it has been turkey and just trying that and not really testing on the other side. But our bodies change as we age as well. We grow into things and we
Yep.
ask ourselves why. And the only thing that we can do is work with what we got because we can't run from it. It is what it is. We have to look at the reality of it. And you
Mm.
all have seen thousands of patients in hospice, all ages, literally from newborns, born without a brain,
Mm.
to my eldest patient was 111 years old.
Wow.
And so all of the in between, and a lot of it has to do with genetics, things being passed down, hereditary. Some of us know what our genetics are, some of us do not. A lot of things are self inflicted. Sometimes we take advantage of those things and we say, oh, it ain't going to happen to me, or it happens to everybody else. It doesn't happen to me. But I just encourage us all to be more accountable and put our big pants on and do what we feel that we know that we need to do in research to learn about our bodies and to learn about what's in certain things. And because we know that cancer is more prominent now than we think ever, of course. And
I
so,
and I was
we
going
said,
to add too that I think it's interesting because from some of my anecdotal research, it seems like Black women tend to have endometriosis or those cysts or something like that. It's and I don't understand why we have it, or maybe there's not enough research around it, but I do think that it's good to know your body, and then it's good what we're putting in our body. So that's why, like the Salata thing, I was sharing with you yesterday how my husband's like, this I ain't told you can't go to Salata because he likes to put me on these little debt diets, where he's just like, we're not spending any money, like necessities only, like what we're doing. But he lets me go to Salata, and it's expensive, but I get the kids meal. But at any rate, I think it's tomorrow, maybe it's Monday, I have to go and do the what is it called? I think I need to see a nutritionist or something like that. And then for me, the bigger, I think it's the small steps of just like making sure at least every day I have something that's green and leafy and some sort of fruit. And I don't always win that battle because I lost that battle. Was it yesterday or this morning? I wanted grits and eggs, and then I think the good Lord decided to help me. By not he burnt up the grits. I don't know. I shouldn't say God burnt them up since I'm the one that was cooking the grits, but they burnt up. So I don't know. I guess that was God's way of being like, let me slap it out of her hand. She doesn't need that. Um, but I make my little acai bowls. You know what I mean? And I'm very proud of how pretty they look. But it's just it's tiny steps, I would say, along that road. And I do find it very interesting that we all have the same organs. They all have the same function for the most part. And then you could have 100 people with the same type of, health issue, and 50 of them die, and on whatever treatment plan. They could have the same age, same gender, same race, all of these different things, and then the other 50 get worse and die. And it's just kind of like, how does that make sense? You know what I mean? And I just think the answer is it's not going to ever make sense. Whatever your journey is, it's just going to be your journey. You know what I mean? And we, like Dr. Shay was saying, you just kind of sometimes got to walk through it, and sometimes around it, and grab some people along the way to help you get through that. You know what I mean? So that could be your family, your loved ones, your friends, whomever else. But did anyone else want to share anything? I know Aries Video turned off his mute.
Yeah,
So
I just wanted to, and I want to give Avi an opportunity because I know we lost her for a few minutes, so wanted to let her continue. But I just wanted to, above all, just really thank Dr. Shay not only for sharing her insights, but also sharing her testimony, sharing her support. And I think, there's a lot that we can all take away from that. Especially around our diets, food, what we ingest and what we eat. I can speak, to my own testimony, much smaller, but, just as eye-opening. Some years ago, someone essentially forced me to go on a vegan diet and, become vegan. And so essentially adopting that diet was one of the hardest things I had to do, at least from a, food ingestion standpoint. And one of the things specifically for years, I'll never forget, my mom told me for years, "Oh, you're lactose intolerant, you're lactose intolerant." I'm like, "Mom, I'm not lactose intolerant. I love milk. I've been drinking milk at least 30 years of my life at that point in time. I just absolutely adore it, the taste of it, just absolutely love milk." And so, when I was forced to take on, and I say forced in quotes, to take on this vegan diet, that was one of the things I had to give up milk, give up dairy, some I love milk, I love cheese, and having to let those things go was very, very difficult. But one of the things I can attest to, and it's just so interesting how we don't make these observations when you're in it. Um, you know, After being on a vegan diet for probably at least a good year, maybe a good 6 months, I noticed just gastrointestinally wise, wow, things that I haven't noticed for like my entire life, just how things just I felt better. My stomach didn't have, and my gut didn't have the same distress and discomfort that it had been having pretty much my entire life. And I just didn't know it because I didn't know any different. And that was actually one, experiencing that was honestly one of the most traumatic and hardest things I ever had to go through in my life. And that it, or it let me say it this way, it manifested one of the most difficult things I ever had to do in my life, literally one of the most difficult things. Once I realized that what dairy was having on my system, I had to do one of the toughest things I ever had to do in my entire life. And I had to go to my mom and say, "Mom, you were right. It was so hard. It was so difficult for me to have to do that. But, as difficult as it was, I had to go and tell my mom, you were right. I'm lactose intolerant." And so through that, and that's a joke, I was happy to ultimately tell my mom. But through that, what I hope that maybe some people can take away is that, not being afraid to take a step, whether it's through faith, through trust, belief, whatever it is, to take a step, especially from whether it's dietary or whatever it is, to say, "Hey, I gotta let this go, and I'm gonna let this thing go out of my life," because you will never know what you may be, whether the positivity you might be introducing, or more importantly, the negativity you may be cutting out of your entire existence, frankly, because you just never knew any different. You never knew different. But, having the courage, and that's not saying not being afraid, because courage is being afraid and doing it anyway. Bravery is, not letting the fear consume you, but being afraid, but still choosing to move forward. Um, you never know what you might be able to, introduce or, adopt into your life so much more for the better. So again, I just wanted to thank, Dr. Shea for just again sharing all of her insights, again, her personal testimonies and experiences, and I know it's not easy, to share so much of yourself, especially with a group of strangers, but I really do appreciate that and thank you for that.
Me
You're very
too.
welcome. Absolutely very welcome. So, I mean, we're all navigating life's interruptions and we're assisting one another along the way, but we can't help ourselves or others if we keep everything to ourselves. We will literally die, whether you die
Mhm.
spiritually, mentally, physically, truly die in that. So I thank you all as well for definitely sharing that. I think that that is really a blessing, and we just have to. I think one of the hardest things for us. I mean, I'm from the country. I'm from South Arkansas, North Louisiana, and like everybody came home for the Fourth of July, and they killed hogs, and it was like, oh, we're gonna have a big hog killing. So then, they did crackling, and then everybody went home with bacon and all that. And I grew up in that. I didn't know any better to know that that stuff was so unhealthy. Because when you think about whenever you cook and you have that grease and then it gets cold, and I'm putting that
What?
in my body, that can't be
Mhm.
healthy. Absolutely just cannot be healthy. So I would definitely say over the past 2 weeks, I'm really grateful. My stomach is not as bloated as it has been. So I'm like,
Okay.
that definitely had to be some of the inflammation. Um,
Mhm.
my double chin, I had a little bit of a double chin. My double chin is actually slimmer
I
as
love
well.
it.
I noticed that. And then
Okay.
I feel better. I'm not as tired. I'm not as tired. I'm not
Mhm.
as sluggish. And I mean, the career path that Chanel and I both have, um, is very draining. It just to be honest,
Mhm.
it really it takes a lot out of you. Takes a lot out of your spirit. So it's soul work. Or soul service. I tell people it's definitely more of a ministry because you can't work in hospice, you serve in hospice. And
Mhm.
so it already sometimes we come home and our brains are literally like mush and we're on call around the clock. And so we have to find opportunities and ways to be able to reset, refresh. For me, it's getting to some water, having some quiet time and just laying in silence and literally resting. No social media. I'm not on my phone. I am literally just allowing my soul and my spirit to actually heal. So there's a different level of rejuvenation in that, and so I encourage anyone that is listening, as well as those that are here on the panel tonight, to research and find ways that you can actually heal from the inside out. It's so important for us to heal from the inside out. Think about what we're putting in because whatever we put in comes out. And then
Mhm.
whenever, I mean, even with the spiritual word, if we're listening to rap music and the crazy and this and that and whatever, now mind you all, I listen to it as well, but I have to make sure that I have a good balance because whenever the time comes and your back gets against the wall, you got to have something to pull from. So
Yep.
whenever, because when you reach in your closet, the most fresh thing or what you have the most of is what's going to be in the front of the closet. We shouldn't want to have to reach too far in the back to reach and pull out our hope and our courage and our faith and things like that. So all of it, all of this stuff, there are all silent killers. One of the biggest things that my doctor told me, she said, Shay, she said, you might need to consider switching jobs. And I was like, I can't do that. And she said, well, you're going to have to make some adjustments. She said, I know you enjoy what you do. She said, but this stress is literally killing you because stress produces all of these different things and it depletes our serotonin levels that we have in our body. We have our serotonin and then we have a reserve. And whenever that reserve gets depleted, then we are truly no good. And so, with that, the stress causes us to produce chemicals and things in our bodies that causes the fibroids and the endometriosis to grow. It literally feeds them. And anything we eat also feeds them. I have a niece that's going through the same thing. She's had to give up a whole lot of things because of the things that she was eating. It was making the fibroids come back so aggressively. She's like a size 2, and she looked like she was about 4 months pregnant. So I'm done speaking. I have enjoyed you all. Absolutely. And I hope that we will be able to stay in touch and also be able to come again and continue to grow and assist one another as we navigate life.
Absolutely. Thank you so, 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 so much for coming on the panel and giving us a word and praying for us. I so appreciate it. Sharing your story, sharing everything that you've gone through, and the fact that you're still happy. you know, and still in high spirits with everything, like you say, that we do as work. Listen, it's a testament to God. You know what I'm saying? And what he's able to lift us through and carry us on our journeys. I absolutely love it. So I appreciate
I
it. And
love
you
that.
come back anytime you ready. But you go ahead and you finish making your money bouquet. Is that what you were making a money bouquet?
I am. I'm actually done. I'm getting ready to wrap it.
Oh,
It's going
okay.
it's going to Shreveport, Louisiana tonight and
Oh,
transport.
oh. No, that's right. Yes, honey. Well, you be safe if you're traveling or whomever it is that's traveling to Shreveport. Y'all have a good, safe trip and come on back here to Texas so that I can, talk to you and we can have
I'm
prayer.
not going anywhere. I'm here this weekend. You're good.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you so much. I don't know if you're dropping off immediately or if you want to stay around a little longer. Ivy, did you have some other information you wanted to share or anything you wanted to share with us?
I'm not sure when I cut out with you all, but I was just thinking about something you said about we all have the same organs and all of that, and how different illnesses affect us all differently. And a lot of
Mhm,
times, well, I can only speak from my personal experience and some of the stuff that I have done a little bit of research on is
mhm.
like, but I know I keep on talking about my mom, but it is what it is.
Absolutely.
She died of uterine
We
cancer. White
Mhm,
women are more likely to get diagnosed with uterine cancer. Well, they now call it endometriosal cancer, but
mhm,
Black women are more likely to die from it because drug studies and different things that they didn't involve us. And a lot of times, people of color don't want to be in drug studies because of how we were experimented on when we had no control over our bodies and what can be done to it. So a lot of times, the research just isn't there for us. And
mhm.
while, like with my mom, she would have had a better chance of beating this if she was white. It's just one of those. It's just one of those things. There's just not enough research done where they actually are doing drug studies, and it's actually people that are African American, and that's just something that I know about that, and hopefully that will change. But with a lot of things, it is. I know I keep on bringing up race, but it does have a lot to do with it.
No, I'm fine with it. You can't walk away from the facts. I remember when I was earlier in other issues that I had my, what is it called? My potassium was low and I was in the hospital for that. And that was a whole nother issue. And also that's reoccurring this past month and a half with my potassium being low. And it's just, my doctor was like, eat an avocado every day. That's part of the reason I go to Salada. I eat an avocado, but it's just, you were one of the people whenever I was in the hospital, Ivy, that I called, about the potassium, because I just feel like when anytime someone's a nurse, their friends and family just feel like they, almost a doctor or something like that. And so we just call y'all and be like, hey, this is what's happening. Can you help me like navigate it or whatever? And I remember you were one of the first people to talk to me about racism and things like that in healthcare. And I really, 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 really did not want to believe that. Even though, we live in Texas and I've experienced racism my whole entire life, I didn't want to believe that. But I can sit here and tell you right now, I'm confident that it's rampant. And especially with Black women. And I feel like my thought is like, I feel like they think either A, we are exaggerating our pain, or B, we can handle the pain. And I watched that so many times. Like, one of the stories that I have is, I remember I had my last surgery, and I remember like 5 hours after the surgery or something like that, I was in extreme pain. Part of the reason was my friend went and got the medicine from the pharmacy for me, but it was a medication. It was the wrong medication, meaning it was just a medication I hadn't picked up. But I just thought, oh, this is a different medication because it's from my gyno doctor. So, she must know something more than, the regular doctors. Because normally after surgery, you get like hydrocodone or like Tylenol 3 or something like that. So that's the reason I was in pain, because I didn't have the proper pain med. But I remember my husband, I'm crying because I'm in really bad pain, because obviously I got cut 5 hours before. And I remember my husband took me to the ER, but he went to the closest one because obviously I'm in pain and you should go to the ER if you're in pain 5 hours after your surgery. And so I did that. And to make the long story short, you know, even though I had on those little braces they give you that say it's your name, your date of birth, you have a fall risk, here's your what do you call it, your allergies and all that kind of stuff. They could see that there was surgery that happened to me that day, and I will never forget. Like, I was sitting there for like 2 hours. They didn't even give me a Tylenol. Like, I was just kind of like, okay, that's fine. I'm just gonna leave. And, you know, can you take this out of my arm? And they were trying to tell me something about, well, your blood test needs to come back before we can give you medication. How the blood can't tell you if I'm in pain. I'm the only person that's qualified to do that. Like, what do you mean? So they wouldn't let me leave without one of those signing one of those papers that say I think it's against like medical advice or something like that. And I was like, I'm not signing it because this is crazy that I'm sitting in here and y'all could see clearly I've had surgery earlier today and you're not offering me any type of anything. And so I came back and I told my husband they wouldn't take it out of my arm. And he went over there. He was a man about it. He was just like, look, take this IV out of my wife's arm right now. I was like, oh, yes, I love it. But, you know, I'm sad. He's just here trying to help his wife. You know what I mean? And that lady behind that screen thing, because this was like during COVID or like right as COVID was leaving, or C-19. When he went over there and said that, I remember the white lady behind the nurse, she was back there and she was like, if you try to leave here with her, I'm going to call a constable on you. And I just was like, my fur went up and I was like, I'll sign the paper. And I'm like, it broke my heart because I have to save him from this idiot. He can clearly walk circles around this idiot, but I don't want him to do that because you deciding to call the constable because my husband is saying take the IV out of my arm is a little much. Like, what the hell is going on in your world? You know what I'm saying? He's here trying to help his wife get health care. Like, it's just like, how are you working in healthcare behaving this way? And it was so bad because it's just kind of like, how is that your immediate thing? And I'm like, look, I don't need nobody to have no sort of slip of the hand and think that they're going to have a pew pew and a pow pow just because my husband simply saying, take it out of her arm. Like, why are you trying to hold me hostage and y'all won't give me any type of medication for my pain? Like, it was just ludicrous to me. And, you know, whenever I went to the back to, you know, sign the basically releasing them of any type of, you know, what do you call it? Crime. The crime is the wrong word, but I can't think of it. But like any type of responsibility to what happened to me. And she was sitting there and she was like, she sat there and she was just kind of like, well, you know, well, you know, there were patients that were, you know, they had more severe injuries or more severe, whatever. And I'm like, where are you getting this information? How you know I didn't have a heart attack 2 days ago? Like, how do you know that I don't have hypertension and that I might be dying? Like, it's just, I couldn't. And I told her, I said, no, you're not going to try to get out of this with me right now. You're a horrible human being. I am here because I had surgery a few hours ago. And all I'm asking for is some pain relief. Y'all won't give me it. And you're telling me some BS about you got to wait for my blood work. No, you don't. And even if I was some pain-seeking person, people who have drug problems still can be in pain. Like, what are you talking about? Like, it's just, I cannot. So that's just one of the, I would say, worst situations that we were in. Because I'm just kind of like, why do I have to give up my rights? Because you were threatening my husband with police for no reason. Why are you threatening him? Like, it just bothered my whole soul. And my soul is still bothered by some of the other things that I witnessed and things that were done to me, I would say, while I was in the hospital. One night when I had the potassium, one night I was sitting in the bed and I could no longer see the picture on the wall. I had 20/20 vision, but I don't know what they had going on with me in the medicine or whatever was going on with my body. But I remember being there saying to my husband, I can't see that. And I have 20/20 vision. I can't see it. Something is definitely wrong here. And it took them, I don't even know, like maybe 20 or 30 minutes or something like that. And my husband, basically threatening him like, no, y'all need to wake up, whoever the hell y'all need to wake up. My wife can't see. Something is wrong here. That's not a normal thing that happens when, you're in the hospital, that you just go blind. You're 30 something years old and suddenly you can't see. Like, it's crazy. And so over the years of the craziness, you see it You see how they respond to other people, how quickly they get them back there and all that kind of stuff. And it's just kind of like, why are we still dealing with this? And we what 60 years past the Civil War or whatever, well, not the Civil War, the Civil Rights Movement, all that. It's just like, I don't get it. How you still feel like in 2025 that I'm less than you simply because of my color, or that I'm should get subpar treatment or no treatment simply because of my color. It's beyond me. But anyway, I've been on my little high horse. I'm not a horse. I've been on my soapbox. So Ivy, I think I interrupted you. I'm not really sure if I did. I mean, if anyone has anything else to say or any final thoughts, encouragement, anything before we go.
The only thing I wanted to bring up was that sometimes there are medical professionals that they are racist, and there are some that have an unconscious bias. Like they really do not even realize that they are treating you different, because medical schools have just now in the past couple of decades, or I should say maybe the decade or 2 decades, maybe about 20 years or so, has stopped teaching that Black people can tolerate pain more. Because when we were enslaved,
Wow.
they would do all types of experiments and stuff on us. And so they really do feel like we're tough, we can handle it, we're strong, all these different things that people say about us, especially Black women. They really do think that we have a higher pain tolerance just because of the color of our skin. And sometimes they may not even realize that they're treating you differently. Now, the lady that wanted to call the cops and stuff, she definitely knew what she was doing. I don't think that she had an unconscious bias. I feel like that was racism. But there are some providers that they really do. They will, even with me, I've had providers, they believe that I'm in pain, and they know that I have pain, and oh, I've been to the ER. They see I have a cyst and all this and that. And when they give me the pain meds, they'll give me the lowest dose that you can get. Whereas somebody that may have the same condition as me, maybe they're giving me 5 milligrams, but they're going to give the other person 15. So it's in the medical field, they still have a lot of work to do. And I would just say the best thing is to continue to advocate for yourself, have a loved one go to the hospital with you or be with you whenever you are dealing with an illness. And if you don't feel comfortable somewhere, of course, go to a different hospital and just explain that you really are in pain. And and people that have chronic pain too, you have to remind them that when you have a condition where you're always in pain, you do not, you're not going to look like you're in pain, because you're so used to dealing with it. So I can be in a lot of pain and I can still walk and talk, and I may be able to drive, but it's like, I'm doing that because I don't have a choice. The pain is a 10 out of 10, but whereas somebody else, if they get that pain, they may be crying and they can't do anything. And it's just, we all manifested a little differently.
Yeah, and when you brought that up, I just thought about I was in Star Furniture a few weeks back, maybe like a month ago or something like that. And I remember I was telling my husband I felt all of my energy leave my body. That's the only time in life that I've ever felt that way outside of getting what is that called? Fentanyl. One of the times I went to the hospital and I was in so much pain, I felt the pain leave my body. But this was the first time where I actually felt all of my energy, like legit, leave my body. I felt it. And I remember when I got to the Star Furniture, the two ladies that were at the front to help me or whatever, they immediately was like, are you okay? And I knew I wasn't, but a lot of times you just, like you said, you just kind of keep going. And I had things to do. I'm like, I gotta go and have what is it called? Physical therapy, because I had gotten in a wreck like the 2 weeks before or something like that. And I was just trying to push through. And I ended up in an ambulance, you know what I mean? And it was a whole mess. I literally went into the ambulance twice in the same week. And had never been in an ambulance once in my whole entire 44 years on this earth. So that was crazy. but my potassium was low. That's what that was about. And so like I'm still kind of battling that now. That's why my doctor was telling me to eat avocado every day, which I'm trying very hard to do. But to your point of like people not really them thinking that you're strong or that you can take it. It's like I remember this lady one time, like how like if you get contrast, you get I think it's an MRI or something. You get contrast and they put the stuff in you or whatever to like light up whatever your organs or whatever. I know that I have, huh?
CT scan.
CTE. Yeah, I know that I have a response to it, which is I get nauseous and I'm gonna probably vomit. But since I know that about myself, I always tell them, hey, before we do this, I need some sort of a nausea medication that they give you like into your little IV. And I remember asking the lady, I'm like, I know I'm gonna go, they're gonna take me down to do this scan, and I know they're gonna put the is it iodine or it's something like that. Anyways, whatever it is, they're gonna put that in you, and I'm gonna get nauseous and I'm gonna want to vomit, and I need to not, they need these images. I'm not gonna be able to get it, And she was just like, she didn't want to give it to me. She gave me the runaround for like an hour, and I'm just kind of like, what are you like? It's just certain things where I'm just like, why are you doing that? Like, do you think that I'm lying to you about me being nauseous? Like, it's ludicrous to me, but that's what the people would do. They always they always do that. And you don't want to think that way, but I had to, like how you were saying, advocate for yourself, because one time I was in the hospital with the potassium being low, and you know how they try to give it to you slowly in your vein or whatever. And they could have given it to me through one of, I think it's a PIC line or something like that, but they blew out my vein, which was extremely painful. And I literally was in that hospital bed standing up, screaming and mad at the kidney doctor and all the other people came in there. I was so mad because you guys could have offered me a different way, but you didn't. Now I have to raise hell in here for someone to say, because I was just like, I don't care about whatever happens to me with potassium. And I know I'm on that continuum where either way too much, you could die. It just is what it is. So, but you could have at least informed me and said, hey, this is a different way, and let me pick. Yeah, we prefer to do it this way. It's going to take long and it's going to be painful, but you'll get there. Or you could do one that is painful initially, but will get the potassium in your body much quicker. And they didn't do that, because in my mind, I feel like they didn't do it because it was just kind of like, there's this black lady here. We just, however, it doesn't matter. That's how I felt. I don't know. I'm not those people, so I don't know for sure. But that's how I felt. And my journey hasn't been great with healthcare providers. And I'm just hoping that someone somewhere in the healthcare field will try to stand up with us, because our statistics in so many areas, it's just not there. The research isn't there. And I think, like what to your point earlier, I don't really think they're interested in figuring out, how we can do things differently for brown people. So anyways, guys, thank you guys so much for sticking around and being a part of my panel. Hopefully someone will hear this, or you guys can share it if you want to, and maybe it'll inspire someone, because I can tell you this, when I got that call and that information, I was angry. I was like, do you know, Jesus, you took me out this fire like a year ago almost, and you saved me from this fire only to let me have lupus, and now this other, like, what is happening? I just was like, I'm so done. And I didn't want to hear what my husband had to say, but thank God for him, being like, what, the voice of reason, and saying, you might be able to inspire some people, or if not, just at least inform some people to where they can go and, get checked out. Because I certainly didn't think them doing whatever scan on my liver would that would be the diagnosis. I didn't think that. But by the grace of God, I, got in touch with someone who said, go and do this. And then they had me to do the liver thing, which now I want to ask my doctor, how does your liver, how do you go from something with my heartburn to my liver? Because it just don't seem like they cross, and I don't understand that. But I'm grateful that he did that test, but I don't understand how that goes together. But anyway, guys, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys for sticking around for a whole hour and 28 minutes. Much love to you guys. If we have another panel later, Ivy, hopefully Carmen, everybody, thank you to everybody that came, Dr. Shay and Mr. Aries video. If y'all have any, I put links in the description. So for all of our different illnesses, it's from the Mayo Clinic, some information about, symptoms, signs, and things like that, treatment and all that. So if you guys want to, take a look at that. But until next time, thank you guys for joining me on Chanel's Reality. I'm Chanel, and this is my reality. And look, I have a whole, what do you call it? Intro, but I'm gonna play it as my outro. So I'll talk to you guys later.
Welcome to Chanel's Reality. I'm Chanel, and this is my reality.
Okay,
Yeah, that's nice.
and so do you guys. So again, thank you so much for coming by. Y'all have a good night. Bye-bye.
You as well.
Thank you so much.
Sweet dreams.
Same to you. I'm so excited.
Bye.